Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to the bonus shard pull session for the week. Yes, believe it or not, the ultimate shard hoarder is going to be participating in a random one-off shard event. But as always, we are never pulling without a purpose. So there is an accompanying summon rush. This is part of the fusion, or at least it's a bonus aspect of the fusion. So there are some fragments up for grabs for the fusion epic. And you can see here at the bottom that we have a bunch of juicy goodies, 25 fragments here, 25 fragments here, Immortal Soulstone, Legendary Tome, Mythical Tome, and an Eternal Soulstone. And the main appeal here, there's a lot of things going on here that are weighing into my decision making here. But one is that there's 100% boosted points for Ancient Shards, so they're now worth 40 points per pull. So it's just a lot stronger, I guess 2 times as strong. It's also boosted on Primal, so they're almost equivalent to a Sacred Shard. So I guess if people were spenders and they wanted to get basically almost the value of a Sacred Shard at the price of a Primal, wouldn't be the worst deal in the world. And we'll talk about the Progressive Chance events a bit later. But translating all of these juicy things into Ancient Shards, the first 25 fragments would cost 72 Ancients. The Immortal Soulstone would cost 93. The 50 fragments here are getting both of them would cost 114. The Legendary Tome would cost 135. Mythical Tome 163. And the Eternal Soulstone 188. So what I would like to get out of this, as you might suspect, is the Champion Fragments to be able to skip some of the events of the fusion. Probably going to be Dungeon Divers 3 and maybe Artifact Enhancement 3. That's probably where I'm leaning, but I'll see how I feel about Dungeon Divers 2 that is going on right now. We'll see how it goes. But I already finished the Champion Training Tournament. I finished it early, very early, and I need to finish Ice Golem for today. But after that, I'm just going to be running Spider for the next couple of days until Dragon starts, and then we'll see how close. I'll probably end up finishing Dungeon Divers 2 because I will have invested some energy to getting most of the way there. So it probably makes more sense to finish that one out and skip the last Artifact Enhancement in Dungeon Divers 3. But anyways, at the bare minimum, that would mean that we'd have to pull 100 and let's say 15 or 120. Let's round up to the nearest 10 because I'm too lazy to do single pull sometimes. So 120 Ancients would be where we want to be to get this, get both of the Champion Fragments nodes. But at that point, it would only cost me 15 more Ancients, and then I get myself a Legendary Tome, which is very, very enticing. So we're actually going to go all the way out to 5,400 or 135 on the Ancients and get ourselves a Legendary Tome. And then from there, I will probably just abuse the buffed Tavern and go out for the Mythical Tome by pulling 1,100 Mystery Shards. And I mean, I guess I could go all the way out to the Eternal. I have like 13,000 Mystery Shards, so maybe we just go hardcore in the paint and we do 2,000 Mystery Shards and just crank out the rest of the event. That's an option. That is a decision that's going to be made by me tomorrow and how willing I am to invest in that. But honestly, that wouldn't be the worst deal in the world. And then skipping ahead a little bit, we can take a look at the Mercy tracker here. And obviously we're focusing on the Legendary row. And you can see here that we are fresh off of Mercy, relatively recent from getting our last Legendary from an Ancient Shard. So that means that investing 135 right now is not the worst thing in the world, because worst case, we build up Mercy and we get really, really close so that we're set up for a future Ancient POGO, which I have not participated in for a good while because I haven't been in the right position. I like to be within 100 of Mercy in order to guarantee that there's it's not a huge chunk of shards invested in order to proc Mercy in order to get the POGO event. So that would put us in a great spot for that. And assuming that the next 2x, this coming weekend is going to be 2x voids, we're not going to have to worry about having to pull Ancients over the weekend and busting through Mercy potentially. So that is another thing, but obviously there is always a chance that we could just get a Legendary along the way and then we'd reset Mercy once again, which would be, I don't know, mixed reviews. Depends what we'd get in that situation. But it's kind of a win-win either way. We're either set up for a POGO event, building up Mercy here, or we just happen to get a Legendary out of today, and that's also a win. But honestly, I think the biggest factor going on here is that I most certainly have way too many Ancient Shards. It has been a long time since they've done a pure guaranteed from Ancient Shards. I think it was Nishak Verminlord back in like January or December. It was like 6-7 months ago. And so I've been just stacking Ancient Shards because they just haven't really offered them or offered events that really take advantage of using the power of Ancient Shards. This is the first time they've done the double points for Ancient Shards in a Summon Rush. Previously, they tried to increase it by 50%, which really didn't do that much. But this one kind of feels a lot more tangible. And so obviously, considering that I have over 750, pulling a quick 135 for me is not going to make a dent in terms of my overall Ancient Shard stack. So this is a good investment. And again, of course, it allows me to skip some events in the fusion. Obviously, this is not the most enticing fusion in the game, but nonetheless, if it makes it a bit easier for me to do, why not? And then I honestly do wish I could say that there was like a really, really enticing champion offer offered in the progressive chance event, but unfortunately for me in particular, 3 of them are fusion champions, all of which I did. So Brogni, Pythion, and Tatura Rhymehyde, who obviously I just recently pulled a few days ago as well, got a duplicate of him, so I definitely don't want a third. But the only one that would be new from this batch of champions would be Gwendolyn Silent, who was a previous guaranteed or offered as a guaranteed champion, and I opted not to go for her because her kit sounded really cool, but it didn't feel worth my shards at that moment. So she would be the one that I would pick if I was forced to choose. But honestly, I don't really feel forced to pick one here, and if I do get a legendary, I would want someone from my wish list more than I would want Gwendolyn the Silent. So we're just not going to pick anyone at all, and we're just going to take our chances with the raw odds and see what we can get if we get a legendary at all. So of course, it hasn't been that long since our last shard pull session, but nonetheless, it is customary to go over the overall shard count on the account. So 769 on the ancients, which of course we will be dipping into today, 180 on the voids, 2 on the primals, and then 42 on the sacreds. If we do happen to get a legendary, then the ones I'm looking for the most would be a Valkyrie, second would be a Poison Exploder, and then third would be Molly Tankard. And I actually made a change on my wish list because number 4 would be Lord Chamfort, number 5 used to be Snicktrock, but now I switched it to Elva Autumnboard, and that is because they nerfed the Iron, well, they nerfed a few bosses, but most importantly for me, they nerfed Iron Twins, and it became a lot easier. And you can check out the video linked above if you want to see what my team is for that going forward. He was going to be a lot more beneficial for the previous iteration of the team that I shared in that video, but now with the current one, I don't really need his services anymore. So his slot was swapped out for Elva Autumnborn, who would be an upgrade to Pythion for Hydra as far as healing, cleansing, and providing perfect veil on some of my allies. And of course, this is not a 2x, but we are probably going to get some epics along the way. So any and all that I do not have for the Lady Mikage fusion, Elfrig or Elisinia would be nice to have, because we obviously do want to get her. And then of course, any duplicate epics for epic empowerment is going to be really solid as well. All right, let's get into the pools. We've got the perfect amount of space, we've got some cash, and hopefully we've got some pretty decent luck. And I guess I did lie earlier when I said I was not willing to pull singles. So in this case, we are going to be starting off with 5 single pulls here, and then we'll go to the 10 pops to make this go substantially quicker. So we're not going to talk about any of the rare champions because most of the ones from H charts are not going to be that amazing. I think void rares are probably the way to go for most people. So I think this is number 4. And then we have one more. Well, let me double check because we don't want to mess this up because then I have to pull 9. There we go. All right, yeah. One more single pull. There we go. Verified. And now we can switch over to the 10 pops. Here we go. First set of 10, 130 ancient shards to go. I'm definitely expecting to see a lot of rares. Again, it is a non-2x, so get used to this type of page. Mausoleum Mage, pretty decent champion. I don't know if he's really that useful in the Cursed City. I feel like I haven't seen him come up in the options, but nonetheless, he is a mini cleanser, block debuffs, increased crit rate, increased defense, I think. So a bunch of good buffs on his team. I think, that's one of the newer rares. I forget what this one does. Is this the leech guy? Yeah, this is the leech. So AoE leech on a rare, 75% chance. Pretty decent, weak version of increased accuracy. I don't think I need that personally, but nonetheless, it's pretty unique to see AoE leech that's fairly dependable on a rare champion. Urticata is pretty cool. One of the most poison damage dealing champions does not actually have poison in her kit. She has poison sensitivity and hex, and then whenever an enemy is attacked under hex, anyone has a chance to place poison. So it's kind of cool, interesting interaction. Ugo, one of the goddesses of Hydra, block buffs, decreased defense, and a little bit of healing and cleansing. And Philosia, pretty good champion. I think she hits relatively hard, but she also has this full depletion of the target's turn meter. So really good for like spider, like normal mode spider, dark fae, stuff like that. So moving right along, next 10 pop here. I think also in terms of rares, I probably won't notice it if it does happen, but I am looking for a Templar, one of the farmable rares, because I do need him for a Relic Keeper copies, because for some reason he's like the one that just keeps avoiding me. So hopefully in 135 ancients we can actually manage to get one of that rares. I'd rather not farm him from campaign because I'm just kind of lazy to go do a different stage than stage 12-3 brutal. So Sinesha, pretty decent healer with the balancing or equalizing of HP, and then she also has like a mini warlord ability on a single target, full lockout. So kind of unique, but I definitely haven't used her in a long time, although AV on the A1 makes her very, very strong for a stun set if you want to use her for that. I think that's where initially I had her built in a stun set for Faction Wars, but she's long been retired from that team as I've gotten better and better champions. Do we get double 10 rares, I guess. Yep, 2x is not on, folks. So yep, the double rare tax is definitely a reality, but eventually here we're going to hit Epic Mercy. There we go. So Karam, not what we'd really want from Epic Mercy there from Ancient Shards, but believe it or not, yeah, I think it's like 25 Ancients is when you're going to be guaranteed an Epic, something along those lines, or somewhere in the ballpark of after 20s when Mercy starts. So nothing crazy there. I think Karam is one of the poison, or like a single target poison exploder, but obviously AoE is a lot more powerful and potent in the game, so he's not the desirable champion. Another rare tax for us, or maybe a double or back-to-back rare tax. Oof, man. Okay, back-to-back rare tax. I guess Epic Mercy once again. Who are we going to get this time? Should be on this 10 pop that we hit Epic Mercy and we get something else. Unless no, oh gosh, okay, maybe it's worse than I thought. Maybe I honestly haven't looked at Epic Mercy in a long time, but okay, 33 in a row of the rare tax. So we'll see what this one. Okay, there we go. There's our Epic Broodlord. Look at that. A little bit of a segue from the previous video, but yeah, very good for the Iron Twins Fortress. He has a really cool passive here where he can just place decreased speed on the enemies when attacked, specifically when he is attacked or when allies under ally protection are attacked. It does not have to be the ally protection he places, so it could be anyone on the team. He was the cornerstone of my Iron Twins teams. So once again, check out that video in the card above. Jingle Hunter, one of the MVPs for my recent progression into the Cursed City because of this ability here. That's a solid mix of a good amount of damage and a little bit of CC. So as long as he kills an enemy, it's 100% chance to freeze everyone else. So you can set him up properly, really good control and damage. And then this one, AoE attack, fills his champion by 10% if it's critical, which it should be. He's a damage dealer. And then it's also an AoE decreased turn meter ability if it's critical, once again, which it should be. So pretty solid champion. Obviously not super useful outside of that one niche, but nonetheless, if you get to the end game, or once you get to the end game, he is very, very good for the Cursed City. So just keep him if you get him along the way. Kaitis, quite unique. He has that ability where he can do a bunch of damage when he's below half health, like a secret skill thing. But yeah, I've never built him. Oh, hey, we got the Templar. Sweet. I guess success. Miniature success, maybe, just by getting him. So maybe we have now we have another Relic Keeper to use for some champion chase in the future. But looks like that is it. We designed this to be exactly how many we needed. So 135 Ancient Shards down the drain, and we hit the worst case scenario, which means we are closer to a Mercy for a future Ancient Pogo, and we did not get a Legendary in this session. I don't think we got anything amazing in terms of the epics. I know the rare is the new one in the index, but I know for a fact that I can straight up empower my Ugo. So we're going to take her to +2. That's the only one that I could think of off the top of my head that was someone I actually use. So we'll take her to +2. Keep you guys around for this one. But yeah, she's a little bit faster, a little bit more accuracy and all that jazz. I think it's speed. I'm forgetting what it is. Yeah, a little bit of speed, a little bit more accuracy, a little bit more resistance, more HP, so a little bit more healing. I do use her for my Hydra team on Brutal, so she's just going to heal a little bit more, be a little bit faster, and do what she does even better. So now let's quickly double check my math in the Summon Rush, and there we go. Yes, 5,400 points, plus a little bit from Mystery Shards that I pulled earlier. So we'll collect all of these. There's no energy to worry about, so we can just collect everything along the way. And then future me will make a decision on if I'm just going to do 1,100 Mystery Shards or go all the way out to the 2,100 Mystery Shards. And the more I say it, the more I think it's probably worth it to just burn through 2,000, and especially with the buff to the tavern to make it a lot more or a lot quicker in order to churn through that. So that's probably what I'm going to do sometime tomorrow night and get myself a mythical tome, which I do need for eventually when I get Lady Mikage. And then the Eternal Soulstone is just nice to be banked for probably some Hero's Path in the future, because these are typically unaffected by the boosted rates for the 5-star and or 6-star Perfect Souls. All right, so that's going to do it for this bonus shard pull session. Those of you in the comments can rejoice because yes, we finally pulled some of our ancient shards and dipped into the stash. And honestly, this is a great example of why I typically don't pull ancient shards for events like these, because we ended up not getting legendary. Again, in this particular situation, that is somewhat advantageous because now we're just close to Mercy, and I expect there to be an ancient Pogo in the near future, hopefully, fingers crossed. And so I was not opposed to this being the result, but this is in general why I don't pull more of my shards on a whim, just because you're more likely to get nothing out of it than you are to get something out of it. And of course, we did also secure the bonus fragments from the Summon Rush, meaning that we can then skip some of the events for the fusion. So once again, I'm quite doubtful that this Summon Rush will be popular, but let me know in the comment section down below if you were participating in it and what you got from it if you were participating. And as always, if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel, and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.